Ah, good morning and happy Sunday, everybody. If it seems like I'm in a very cheerful mood, yes, I am. Okay, so, you know what? Normally I would just say do I even have a low at all? I guess outside the fact it was cold out. I mean, yeah, I'll just say it was cold outside, but yeah, man, yesterday was pretty great. I mean, I did it. I got through Valentine's Day again. Yeah, I'm single, but, I got through it. See, listen, pretty much as long as I didn't break down and cry like I did 2 years ago, we're good. So, yeah. Actually, I gotta give a special shout out to a certain someone who commented on my post when I posted this on Facebook. Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words. It's actually nice I like being vulnerable. Listen, ladies, men can be vulnerable too. We can be. Although, to said person, in case you're wondering, no, I wasn't able to cross paths with a certain someone. But that's okay. I mean, honestly, your kind words gave me at least the motivation to try and find this person. I mean, again, wasn't successful, but still, I feel better having tried. And that's good. And honestly, you know what? Yesterday was pretty cold out. I wouldn't expect much to happen in terms of, people going out and about. Not to mention, the jury's kind of on what to do on Valentine's Day. Some people go out on Valentine's Day. Some people like to stay in and, make dinner for their significant other. It varies from couple to couple. But yeah, Valentine's Day was nice. It was even nicer when I did, I held the door for a bunch of people throughout the day. That was part of my act of kindness. I held the door helping out my dad yesterday. I held the door walking into church yesterday. I also hung out with my family yesterday and helped get some of their dinner ready and get my nephew's silverware out. So yeah, yesterday was a pretty great day. I got through it. And I even remember to listen to some Weird Al Yankovic. That's actually, I can't believe, I guess listening to Weird Al Yankovic on Valentine's Day is the new tradition for me. Alright, cool. Actually, I am running a bit late, so I'll get my boots on now. And you know what? I'm actually glad I'm feeling cheerful because I finally get to make this video. So, actually, I can quite literally say this now. I've been silent about this. Well, technically not. I've been wanting to make this video for well over a year. It has been well over a year. Since it was Super Bowl 59 when we had arguably the worst Super Bowl halftime show I've ever seen. By far. Obviously, it's easy for anyone to say that something is, garbage without any context or a rational and logical explanation. But luckily, I do have a rational and logical explanation. And not only that, I could even I'll even tell you what would have been a better Super Bowl halftime show better yet, I've got not one, but two ideas for what would have been a better Super Bowl halftime show that year. Granted, one is a more complicated answer, and the other one's a more simple answer. So I'll do the complicated one first, because honestly, if you know the context of everything, you'd find it really funny. especially when you hear the simpler idea afterwards. So, if you don't remember, it was Kendrick Lamar who performed in that Super Bowl halftime show. And I myself was not impressed. But my lack of enthusiasm for said halftime show started well before the Super Bowl even began. If any of you guys remember, like for months, Kendrick Lamar was having a serious beef with Drake. And people say that Kendrick Lamar won that beef, and between that and the fact that, you know, he's besties with Jay-Z, he got to perform the Super Bowl halftime show. Basically, I mean, listen, that Super Bowl halftime show was pretty much, it was handed to him on a silver platter. It was. Like, first of all, for starters, the big problem is who he beefed with. He beefed with Drake. Now, that's not to say that Drake is he has phenomenal talent. It's just, it's boring. It just doesn't really, it really wasn't very exciting, at least for me. And I'm sure some say, well, Nick, we got a lot of great songs out of it. Well, here's the thing. Drake would have made those songs regardless. It's just, it was, Kendrick Lamar that made him do that, pretty much, out of retaliation. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar's songs that he was coming up with, I mean, they really weren't that exciting. I'll get to more on that in a minute. So the real question is, if Kendrick Lamar doesn't have a beef with Drake, who should he have had a beef with? Well, for starters, it'd be easy for me to say that he literally could have beefed with anyone else, and that would have been far more interesting. But I've actually narrowed this down. And believe it or not, the one person that Kendrick Lamar should have beefed with then, and this is going to sound crazy at first, but I will explain, Lil Dicky. Yeah, Lil Dicky. Of all people, he would have been the perfect person for Kendrick Lamar to beef with. I will explain. I mean, Kendrick Lamar still would have done what he did, and the thing about Lil Dicky is, he's chill. He's cool. I mean, he's from Philadelphia. City of brotherly love. Pretty sure a lot of people know that about him. However, as someone who deals with the shenanigans of Philadelphia Eagles fans for a living like they're my bread and butter, they go from brotherly love to brotherly shove with the snap of a finger. So, rather than Lil Dicky making his own music in retaliation to Kendrick, because Kendrick would have made those songs with whoever he beefed with. Although, seriously, how is Drake supposed to be compared to an owl? Like, how do they correlate? How exactly does that work? Anyway, so instead, Lil Dicky would have bought his time, waiting for the right moment to retaliate. And when would he have done this? Well, it just so happens that year, Lil Dicky's Philadelphia Eagles were going to the Super Bowl. And that's when Lil Dicky would have made his move. At that point, he would have called out Kendrick Lamar and say, look, bro, you want to sell this? Let's do it at the Super Bowl. Yes, we would have had a rap battle to settle the beef once and for all. And that would have been a far better Super Bowl halftime show than what we got that year. Easily. I mean, listen, I remember that Super Bowl halftime show like the back of my head. And not like us. You know what, Kendrick? I'm glad I'm not like you. I will say that. Of course, obviously, what I just explained consists of a whole list of variables that actually need to happen in order for this to work. And I said this was a very complicated answer. And it is. So naturally, I have a much simpler answer. I did say earlier that I had not one but two ideas for what would have been a better Super Bowl halftime show. I just gave you the complicated answer. And now I'll give you the simpler answer. Fun fact about Super Bowl 59, it was taking place in New Orleans, or Nolens, for those from that area. You know who's also from that area? Lil Wayne. Seriously, you're in New Orleans. Lil Wayne is right there. And you're not using him. He's got more talent in his one pinky than Kendrick Lamar has in his whole body. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, well, if Kendrick Lamar tried to beat with Lil Wayne, it would not have ended well for him because Lil Wayne would have destroyed him if that happened. But still, I just gave you not one but two far superior Super Bowl halftime shows that we could have gotten for Super Bowl 59 that, well, technically one of them did involve Kendrick Lamar anyway, but it would have been better than the one we actually got. Seriously, like, we went from having J-Lo and Shakira, we have the likes of like J-Lo and Shakira, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, I think it was 50 Cent too, I forget. You had Usher and Luda. And you go to this. I mean, come on, man. That was a giant step backwards. That was a huge step backwards. Everybody was saying just how bad Bunny really wasn't that great of a Super Bowl halftime show. I'll be honest. I was visiting my family for the Super Bowl, and I headed home at halftime. I never saw the Super Bowl halftime show. Not 1 second of it. But I didn't need to see the Super Bowl halftime show to prove what I already knew. And what I knew is people could have said virtually anything horrible about Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show performance that we just had. It still would have been better than Kendrick Lamar. It still would have been so much better. Holy cow. Like, how? I mean, listen, I said earlier, Kendrick Lamar got that Super Bowl halftime show because he beefed with one of the most boring people in rap music. That's not to say that Drake doesn't have any talent. He does. He's a phenomenal talent. But beefing with someone like Drake, it's boring, dude. Although, obviously, it proves that if what I just said, trying to beef with Lil Wayne earlier was any indication, anyone else Kendrick Lamar would have beefed with would have ended horribly for him. I mean, Lil Wayne would have destroyed him. Eminem would have destroyed him. Virtually any other rapper, while it would have been far more interesting, Kendrick Lamar had no chance. Like, none. None whatsoever. I can't believe, I can't believe I have to be the one to explain this. And people were saying, well, first of all, anyone who said that Drake won that beef between him and Kendrick Lamar, no. Listen, Kendrick Lamar really isn't that great of a rapper for all the talent that he has, especially when you compare him to the likes of, again, Lil Wayne. But, I mean, all it takes is a little bit of timing and manipulation, and yeah, of course anybody could. Seriously, I could have beefed with Drake, and I'd be performing in that Super Bowl halftime show. I have no discernible talent to speak of, and I could have done what Kendrick Lamar did. Seriously, everybody was giving Kendrick far too much credit that he really deserved. Man, does it feel good. Seriously, I waited forever to say this on, to be honest, I really wanted to wait. I really wanted to do it after, the Super Bowl last year. But honestly, well, here's the thing. I was going to see, because the Super Bowl halftime show, the one that Kendrick wound up doing, that was my first time hearing Not Like Us. Because I was going to hear that song first and then make a judgment on it. And given what I just said earlier, yeah, looking back on it, I probably should have just tore it up. I should have. Although I think there was also a One Piece manga chapter that Monday, so I couldn't quite get to that. And then there was a Howland's guest on Tuesday, and basically, schedule conflicts, got in the way. But you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad I finally got to say my piece on this. Because, good Lord, people can say Bad Bunny's halftime show was bad all you want. It still would have been leagues above whatever Kendrick did the year before. I'm sorry. Actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. Because, seriously, there was someone who had the audacity to compare the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef to Biggie and Tupac. Okay, I'm going to say this as calmly as I can. Do not ever do that. Ever. There is no conceivable way any beef of any kind would be as good or greater than Biggie and Tupac. If you say such things, you will get struck by lightning. God will find a way to smite you for it. I mean, listen, as a Catholic man, I of all people know, he moves in mysterious ways. If you compare anything to the Biggie and Tupac beef, you will be punished. Severely. And people like me will laugh at you because we try to warn you. Okay, I gotta get to church. Hope you like this. Speaking of God, I gotta get to church. Hope you like this video. Like this on YouTube channel, follow social media. As always, I'm your homie. Video for all you guys watching Joe. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And remember, when you guys want to talk, James, we're here to let you know who's back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.